The shocking truth about eggs and heart disease, new evidence. For years, you've probably heard the same familiar warning repeated over and over. Eggs raise cholesterol. Eat too many and you'll clog your arteries and have a heart attack, right? Maybe even your doctor or the health magazine you read every morning once told you, skip the yolk if you want a healthy heart. But what if I told you that advice might have been wrong for more than 50 years? What if the problem isn't the egg itself, but the science behind that advice? I know what you're thinking. If that's true, then why have people been saying the opposite for so long? The answer lies here. We weren't wrong for wanting to protect our hearts, but we were misled, because science doesn't stand still. And now, new evidence has completely changed how the medical world sees eggs. Unfortunately, most of the public, especially older adults, are still eating according to outdated information from decades ago. I'm going to show you, backed by the latest scientific data, why eating eggs isn't just harmless, but actually beneficial for your heart, brain, and muscles. You'll understand why the U.S. government has removed dietary cholesterol limits and why eggs were wrongly accused for so many years. Most importantly, you'll learn how to eat eggs the right way so they become a natural superfood instead of an enemy of the heart. Before we dive into that, I have a small gift for you. I've prepared a free guide with 7 steps to prevent heart attacks based on years of experience working with hundreds of heart patients over the age of 50. You can download it right now in the description below. But first, if you truly want to discover how we've been fearing eggs for all the wrong reasons, please do me a small favor. Hit like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. If you once believed eggs are bad for your heart, type number 1. If you never believed that, type number 0. Because in just a few minutes, you're going to hear a true story about a man named Mark, 54 years old, who completely trusted the advice to avoid eggs. He followed it carefully, cutting them out of his diet, but his health kept declining year after year. Then one day, he decided to do the opposite, and the result left even his doctor astonished.
Would you like to know what happened to Mark and why just one egg every morning transformed his heart health? Stay tuned, because what comes next might make you question everything you've ever believed about cholesterol. Mark, age 54, works in an office. He doesn't smoke or drink. He walks several times a week and has always considered himself healthy. For years, his breakfast never included eggs. Instead, he chose oatmeal, toast, and orange juice. Sounds perfect, right? He believed he was doing the right thing because his doctor once said, eggs raise bad cholesterol and increase your risk of heart attack. But do you know what really happened? Year after year, Mark's numbers got worse. His total cholesterol kept climbing, his triglycerides shot up, and his HDL, the good cholesterol, steadily went down. He began feeling tired after meals, drowsy in the afternoons, and his energy kept dropping for reasons he couldn't explain. Have you ever felt the same? The more you diet, the more exhausted you become. The harder you try, the weaker you feel. When Mark came to see me, he had almost lost faith in his own body. But after reviewing all his lab results, I told him something he hadn't heard in over 20 years. Mark, you don't need to fear eggs. In fact, you should add them to your breakfast every day. He looked at me as if I had just said something crazy, but science shows that what I said was absolutely true. Do you remember the first time you heard someone say, cholesterol kills? Back in the 1960s, when heart disease rates in America were skyrocketing, scientists were desperate to find the culprit. They came up with a theory that seemed perfectly logical. Eating cholesterol, more cholesterol in the blood, clogged arteries, heart disease. Sounds reasonable, doesn't it? Everyone thought you are what you eat. But the problem is, science isn't that simple. The man who popularized this theory was Ancel Keys, a famous researcher. He published a study claiming that countries consuming more fat had higher rates of heart disease. But what most people don't know is that he cherry-picked his data, excluding countries that didn't fit his hypothesis. In other words, It wasn't an objective study anymore, it was a story crafted to prove a point. And when he convinced the government to include this idea in the national dietary guidelines, millions of people started fearing fat, fearing eggs, and began eating the wrong way. Do you see the irony? We cut out eggs, butter, and meat, all natural foods, and replace them with refined grains, margarine, and low-fat products packed with sugar. Meanwhile, heart disease didn't go down. So who's really to blame? Mark had lived under that fear for 20 years, but once he reintroduced eggs into his diet, everything changed. He felt full longer, craved sweets less, and his energy stayed steady throughout the day. Within just 3 months, his triglycerides dropped sharply, his HDL went up, and his LDL, the one everyone calls bad, didn't increase as he had feared. On the contrary, it shifted into larger, lighter particles that are far less harmful. Aren't you curious? How can the same cholesterol make the body healthier instead of worse? The answer lies in the way your liver works and how your body naturally balances cholesterol, something that's been misunderstood for decades.
What really happens inside your body when you eat eggs? For years, many people, even doctors, believed eating cholesterol increases your blood cholesterol. It sounds logical, doesn't it? If you pour more oil into a glass of water, the level rises. But the human body isn't a glass. It's far more intelligent. Your liver is the central regulator of cholesterol. It produces about 80% of the cholesterol in your blood, not your food. So what happens when you eat an egg for breakfast? Your liver immediately slows down its cholesterol production to maintain balance. And if you avoid eggs, the liver does the opposite. It makes more cholesterol to compensate. It's like a perfectly self-adjusting system. In other words, dietary cholesterol doesn't control blood cholesterol. Your liver does. See? Your body already knows how to balance itself, as long as you don't force it to follow outdated rules. But back in the 1960s and 1970s, people didn't know this. They saw high cholesterol levels in heart disease patients and concluded it must be the eggs. They failed to realize that the connection was indirect. Cholesterol rises not because you eat eggs, but because your body is responding to inflammation in the arteries, high blood sugar, or oxidative stress, and your liver produces more cholesterol to help repair the vessel walls. Think of cholesterol as a team of road repair workers. When the roads, your blood vessels, are damaged, your body sends cholesterol to patch them up. But people saw the workers on the road and blamed them. You caused the damage. In truth, they only showed up after the accident. Doesn't that sound absurd? Because of this misunderstanding, for decades the U.S. government issued the guideline, do not eat more than 3 eggs per week. But then, in 2015, everything changed. The U.S. dietary guidelines officially removed the cholesterol limit. The document stated clearly, cholesterol is no longer considered a nutrient of concern for overconsumption. It sounds almost amusing, but that sentence was their way of admitting they had been wrong for 40 years. And not just the government, even the American Heart Association, AHA, had to confirm the same thing. Cholesterol from food, especially from eggs, has little to no effect on blood cholesterol levels. In other words, you no longer need to count how many eggs you eat each week because eggs simply don't harm your heart the way people once thought. But do you know what's even more fascinating? Many recent studies have found that eggs may actually improve your cholesterol profile, increasing the good kind and reducing the bad. Sounds contradictory, doesn't it? So how can a food once blamed for raising blood fat actually help clean your arteries? The answer lies not in the amount of cholesterol, but in its quality, the size and type of cholesterol particles. And that's exactly what we'll explore next,
breaking down how eggs actually transform these particles inside your body. Are you ready to see how eggs can reverse an unhealthy cholesterol pattern?
Eating eggs doesn't raise blood fat. It helps clean your arteries. Did you know that when you eat eggs regularly, your blood cholesterol doesn't go up? It actually changes for the better? It sounds strange, but this is exactly what the latest research has proven. When you eat eggs, LDL, the type people call bad cholesterol, shifts from small, dense particles, the kind that can slip into artery walls, to larger, lighter ones that are far less inflammatory. It's like replacing sharp gravel with soft rubber balls. Same weight, but completely different impact. Even better, your HDL, the good cholesterol, goes up. Think of HDL as your body's garbage truck, collecting excess cholesterol and carrying it back to the liver for disposal. When HDL increases, your body naturally cleans out your arteries, reducing the risk of plaque buildup and heart attack. So in reality, eggs aren't harmful. They actually help your body's engine run smoother and cleaner. But there is one thing I always emphasize to my patients. Eggs are only good for you if you eat them the right way. The issue isn't the egg itself, it's everything that comes with it. If your breakfast is a crispy, high-heat fried egg alongside processed sausage and white bread, you're turning the egg into a falsely accused victim. But if you pair eggs with leafy greens, avocado, or extra virgin olive oil, you're helping your body lower inflammation and naturally balance your blood lipids. Now you may ask, so which eggs are actually best? This is the question I get most often, and the answer is not all eggs are the same. Conventional industrial eggs are cheaper, but they're much lower in omega-3s and vitamin D. If you can, choose pasture-raised eggs, hens raised on open pasture. These chickens move around and eat insects, seeds, and grasses, so their eggs contain far more antioxidants and roughly double the omega-3s. If you can't find those, omega-3 enriched eggs laid by hens fed flaxseed or fish oil are also an excellent choice. Here's another small secret. The temperature you cook eggs at has a big impact on the quality of the cholesterol in the yolk. Don't fry at high heat until the edges are browned or charred, because that's when the cholesterol becomes oxidized, and that's the truly harmful form. Instead, boil, steam, or gently poach. You'll preserve natural antioxidants like lutein and zeaxanthin, two bodyguards that help protect your eyes from macular degeneration. I often tell patients, eggs aren't just food, they're a test of how you treat your body. Cook them gently, choose clean ingredients, and eat them with greens, and your body will repay you with better energy, sharper memory, and a healthier heart. So now you see, eggs aren't the culprit, they're a close friend to your heart, if you know how to treat them well. But that leaves a bigger question. If the cholesterol in eggs isn't harmful, then what is truly clogging arteries and causing heart attacks? The answer is in the final section, where I will show you the real culprit behind heart attacks and how you can reverse that risk with just a few small daily changes. Are you ready to follow the truth to the very end?
When we stop fearing eggs, we finally start living healthy. For decades, we feared the wrong food, a gift from nature itself. We blamed the egg when the real culprits were sugar, refined starch, and trans fats, the hidden ingredients in pastries, bottled juices, margarine, and those low-fat breakfast items loaded with sugar. These are what inflame your liver, damage your blood vessels, and cause your body to produce more cholesterol in an attempt to repair itself. And yet, for so many years, we condemned the egg, a food packed with perfect protein, essential vitamins, and rare antioxidants. When I explained this to Mark, he sat silently for a long time and then said, "Doctor, I wish I had known this sooner." That sentence stayed with me. Because the truth is, many people are just like him, not doing wrong, only misinformed. And sometimes a single piece of the right advice at the right time can change an entire lifetime. After 3 months of eating eggs every day, Mark didn't just improve his cholesterol levels. He felt sharper, slept deeper, and gained back his strength. He told me, "I feel 10 years younger." I simply smiled and said, "When the body is nourished properly, it always knows how to heal itself." And that's what I want you to remember today. Your body isn't broken. It's just waiting for the right kind of help. When you stop fearing real food and start choosing and cooking wisely, you're giving your body the chance to restore itself. Eggs don't cause heart attacks. Rushing through life, eating processed food, sleeping late, and living in constant stress, that's what weakens your heart. Start again from the simplest things: a breakfast with eggs, leafy greens, and a smile. If you found this video helpful, hit like, subscribe, and share it with your friends or loved ones. Because, who knows, one small share might just save a tired heart. And don't forget, you can download the free 7-step heart attack prevention guide in the description below. It's your personal roadmap to understanding your body better and having clearer, more effective conversations with your doctor. I know changing habits isn't easy, but I believe that if you're brave enough to question old beliefs, you're strong enough to create a healthier life. So, are you still afraid of eating eggs? Or are you ready to enjoy them as a true friend of your heart? If your answer is, "I'm ready," then leave a comment below, so I'll know that today, one more person has finally understood the truth about their own health.